The movies were unique because it kind of borrows some of the same ideas and elements from the show, and it expands upon that, and it gives us something different to see. So with the stories, you have Trunks and Bardock who have their own little story, and then it gives us a little bit more insight of what they are. And then you also have the other stories where basically it takes place in between like a certain saga. So for example, Android 13, it took place in the Android saga, obviously, of the show, but we don't know that it really did take place. There are many villains in the Dragon Ball movies that were cool to see, but there's three, in my opinion, that really stand out. Now, just a little disclaimer here. I'm not going to be including Beerus or Frieza. Frieza originally came from the anime anyway, and then Beerus isn't really necessarily a villain, so he doesn't really count. Plus, we already know Beerus and Frieza are the best characters like that Goku has faced. But with that being said, there are three villains, in my opinion, that really stood out and really made the movies unique. Janemba was an insane character. You know, he starts off from being this big blob, and he acts innocent. Innocent, but he's deadly, as Goku described him. And he comes from hell. Well, the thing with Janemba was, once he was in his big form, he gave Goku such a hard time in the entire fight until he transformed and became Super Janemba. And this dude looked literally like he was a mix of Frieza and Cell. And it was so cool to see because Janemba had such a unique design. He had these horns, he had a tail, he had a sword. So Janemba gave Goku a hard time. He even made Goku go Super Saiyan 3 for that matter. And even though his weakness was the same weakness that the barrier was in hell that Pycon was screaming at, it was kind of a weird weakness of his, but Janemba gave Goku a hard time. Hell, even Vegeta had to come rescue Goku, and Vegeta did appear at first like a badass, and then, you know, he gets his ass whooped by Janemba. So Janemba really did put on a good fight, and then obviously, as you guys already know, he had the entire fight with Gogeta, and I'm just saying right now, I think they really did this fight pretty cool, because it was like Janemba was giving Goku and Vegeta the hardest time of their life in this movie, and then once Goku and Vegeta learned how to do fusion and became Gogeta, Janemba was done in like seconds. And it's kind of crazy this all started because some kid just transformed into him, and it all started with that. And then he became one of the most OP villains. So that's just how powerful this dude is. I do think that this movie was overall interesting because it was cool to see how we got to see other villains from the entire DBZ series, even though this movie is not canon, but it still was unique to see. So then we move on to the next villain. In my opinion, this character he's a lot more ruthless, and he's not nearly as nice than compared to his younger brother, and that was Cooler. Cooler really stood out a lot. His movie started with him just watching a clip of Frieza destroying Planet Vegeta, and he felt like Frieza was just too cocky and too arrogant. Cooler was a character where you really could see that he wasn't necessarily as forgiving or as easy like Frieza was. Frieza basically was the guy where he'd take his time with trying to fight somebody. Like, he will kill you, but he'll take his time killing you. Cooler was just deadly and relentless. And Cooler didn't play around when he first came into Earth. I mean, literally, dude invades Earth. Gohan and Krillin got destroyed by Cooler's squadron. So then Cooler comes into the picture, and he literally went right after Gohan. He knocked Goku out, and Cooler basically almost killed Piccolo. He literally gave Goku a hard time once he transformed. Yes, that's the cool thing about Cooler, was he had another form beyond Frieza. And it was kind of cool to hear him say, like, throughout the whole entire movie, how he's not like his little brother and he's not like Frieza. And then obviously, you guys already know, once Cooler was starting to talk, Goku became a Super Saiyan, you know, and then Goku destroyed Cooler once he became a Super Saiyan, and that was it. Then he basically got killed in the sun. Now, Cooler did come back as Metal Cooler, but that's a different video for a different day. Mind you, in this video, I only wanted to talk about merely the villains on their own, like in their first movie. I don't want to talk about their sequels or anything else. So we saw Cooler, and that was basically it. That's how his movie ended, because it's following off the Namek saga after they defeated Frieza and Goku came back. Cooler was a cool villain, and I think he's really slept on, for that matter, because I used to not really care for Cooler as much, but when I recently rewatched this movie, I really started to realize, like, dang, this dude was actually a beast. So then that leads me to the final villain of the Dragon Ball Z movies. You guys probably already know who I'm gonna say, but hands down, this is the most lethal, the best villain in any DBZ movie, and I'm so glad they made this dude canon, even though he's different in Dragon Ball Super. But Broly. Broly was tank. Now, when you first watch this movie kind of takes place more so in between Cell Saga. Gohan can go Super Saiyan, Vegeta and Trunks are there, and whatnot. And Goku has his instant transmission, so this proves that this was during the time of the Cell Saga with all these things that happened. And so the movie starts, and, you know, Vegeta is greeted by Paragus, and he's greeted to become a new leader of a new planet, Vegeta. So then, as you guys already know, that this movie starts off with that, and then as the movie progresses, you know, Goku is trying to find out the legendary Super Saiyan of who that is, and he's hearing that this legendary Super Saiyan has an immense power. It was until Goku met Broly where he felt the same type of energy that he was feeling when he was looking for the legendary Super Saiyan. And it's kind of crazy to think, because it's like when you looked at Broly originally, he doesn't really look like anything. Like, he doesn't look like he'd be much of a threat. Even Trunks said, like, Broly's a toothpick. So there was no way he could have been the legendary Super Saiyan. See, the crazy thing with Broly was he could not control his power. And so Paragus had to find a way to control Broly's power. It kind of makes me wonder, was he technically the first Super Saiyan? Vegeta said that there was a Super Saiyan 100 years ago, and he didn't live because of the power, but Broly became a Super Saiyan at a younger age. So it makes me wonder, was he the first Super Saiyan before Goku? I don't know. So Broly and Goku have another moment, and Broly starts losing his control. Even King Vegeta knew Broly would have been a terror if he became too powerful, and he could have outshined anybody. It's ironic because that's the same thing that Frieza thought of the Saiyans. That's why he got rid of the Saiyans, because he knew they would have been a threat. So Broly becomes ticked off when he sees Goku. He becomes the legendary Super Saiyan, and literally he had everybody shook. Goku, Gohan, Trunks, they tried to fight him, but Vegeta, he refused to fight him because he just knew that there was no point. Broly was too powerful, like he could not be stopped. So literally Broly destroyed everybody in their first round. Like, he literally destroyed them and they could not stand a chance. Broly was taking on 3 of these guys, and he wasn't even breaking a sweat. And there was even one point in the movie where Goku fires a Kamehameha wave right at Broly, and then literally Broly just laughs it off. Like, that was insane to even just see. So, with that all being said, it was insane to just see what Broly could do. He was taking their bodies and throwing them through buildings. He was dragging them through. And then finally Vegeta realized that he had to stand up to Broly, and he literally couldn't even put a dent into Broly. Broly was just that powerful. Broly should have been the one to kill Goku, low-key. And I know it sounds kind of crazy to say, but that's just how good of a villain Broly was. Hulk version in Dragon Ball Z, where nobody could stop him. The way that this movie was, it was insane to just see. So, Broly was a real menace to this movie, and I'm so glad they made him canon. Even though it's not the same Broly that we saw in this movie, but this Broly was just different, man. So that's really all I have to say in terms of who I think the best villains are in the DBZ movies. These three villains in these movies, they really were taken more seriously. They were presented more as like a bigger threat. Yeah, Lord Slug and Turles were unique for what they were trying to be, but I just feel like with Janemba, Cooler, and Broly, they literally gave the Z Fighters all a hard time and pushed them all to their limit. Especially Broly, for that matter. It was all my opinion, so this is just what I think. But comment down below, who do you guys think is the best movie villain? I'd really love to hear it. Anyway, that's all I have to say for this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.